Bingo, bango, jalapeno.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are the World Forge. My name is Chris. I am the host and game master of the KSN podcasts and one of your lovely hosts for the World Forge.
And I'm Eric, the host and showrunner, I think is the more appropriate term, for the Hebridean Tales and soon to be Somebody's Heroes.
Story weaver, game master, lore keeper, brain
the Elder Brain.
The hive
That's
mind,
the new fucking name. I am the Elder Brain of the fucking show. That's what we're fucking called now. We're not called the Game Master anymore. We're the fucking Elder Brains.
All right, so we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start canonizing that on every episode. Welcome, I am the Elder Brain of the World Forge Chaos Den, whatever the fuck I decided to work on that day.
Day, week, month, year, you know.
Whatever you feel like that day. That minute, that hour, second, millisecond. I don't know anything past that.
I'm the arbiter of my own life and my own destiny.
Some days. Other days it's the children.
Oh, yeah, the kids will tell you what to do.
The kids
they
categorize everything that we do. That's where our lives go. This is just our free time.
Are you sure?
No.
That sounds like a sketch comment right there. So what are we not sponsored by today over on your side of things?
Well, I'm going with a lovely Calypso, Taste of the Islands, Ocean Blue lemonade, because I had a twitch for some blue lemonade today.
Fantastic. I am once again not sponsored by Chug-a-Lugga Mountain Dew, baby.
If there is a drink consumer out there that wants to sponsor us, I will drink your drink even if I don't like it.
We both will, motherfucker.
Yeah, we will. We'll do it. We'll do it 100%.
We'll both drink on camera. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Bring it on. Come on. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe tonight we have a couple things that we had kind of tagged for what we wanted to deal with.
Correct.
We know we wanted to dive into the shadow plane and the moon that the shadow plane is connected to. And as well, we had I don't know if we want to call it a question or just an idea that we started shooting out of our asses last time, is what is the Festival of Skulls? Because that was a thing.
I think it was a question we asked ourselves, because we said there was a Festival of Skulls and we said, now we have to figure out what the fuck that is.
Now
and I think that's where that came from.
Right. And I believe it came down to, we had the humorous idea of undead once a year wanting to get rid of bodies or skulls, and just started yeeting them down.
Warriors.
Just yeeting them down to the planet from the moon, just cause.
Yeah. So, for those of you who are just catching, this is your first foray into our brains. We are currently acting on the cosmological scale. Oh, always a sugar hype. Always a sugar hype. However, we're working on a cosmological scale from the cosmos down. So our first episode, we figured out how the world even formed, the grand cosmology of the whole goddamn thing. Since then, we've been working on planes and all of that jazz. We did heavens and hells. We've done the cosmological necessities of order, chaos, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
That we call the tower. And then now we are going back close to the material plane.
We're getting closer to the core planet.
Yes. We are working right now, though, on the elemental planes. Last time we worked on the Feywild.
That was fun.
And yeah, that was a fun one. So definitely check that out over on YouTube.
Yep.
And then the this week on Dragon Ball Z. I mean, wait, what? Sorry, copyright.
World Forge. Come on.
This time on the World Forge, we are going to be striking our fucking hammers over on that
proverbial shadow plane.
That cute little thing called the shadow plane.
I wouldn't call it cute.
It's absolutely adorable. So
it's so adorable.
So
Death
far,
and mayhem and skulls and bones and undead things just roaming around a moon trying to kill you every time you land on it.
I mean, why are you going to the moon with it's uninhabitable? So far, as what we have just figured out on the Shadow Realm Society thing,
that's located on our
gate
notes.
Is located on a moon. The moon is uninhabitable and is one of the non-magically touched moons because magic is exuded in an accretion disk style, like Saturn's rings, around the sun, which actually is a solar dragon and an astral dragon making babies.
They're
banging till they're tired and don't want to do it anymore. Which,
and then
if you got that level of stamina, bro, good for you.
To be a teenager again,
right? To be a teenage dragon fucker again, right?
I mean, don't
ask what the bard did. Don't ask what the bard did, Chris.
It's more like, what did Jarlaxle do? If you've ever read those books, Jarlaxle Banray bangs a dragon in those books.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think 2 dragons. I think he does twins. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he bangs 2 dragons, two copper dragons. But yeah, and we also decided that I believe the moon, his name was Neoma.
Neoma. Pronunciation's up for debate.
Yeah, we can dispute it. I say Neoma.
But again, most of our words, we tend to go on the pronunciation is whatever you say it is, because
you're running the game.
The honest to goodness truth is it's a world. You're the DM. The players are characters. And even in world physics, try to get 2 people to say the word, the same word the same way twice.
Good luck. I say good luck. But let's dive in. So we have right at the bottom the mention that created by the first dragon that was killed by another dragon became the dragon deity of undead. So let's start with our head on that creation process, and then kind of trickle our way down through the lesser little known factoids of it. So the undead dragon is the head deity of the shadow plane and would reside within the shadow plane or on the moon.
So we have figured out, I think, that our shadow plane is not the same as the shadow fell for other worlds like Abir Torel.
Yeah, it's its own little pocket.
It's its own shadow plane.
Yeah, it's not connected to any other realms. It's not connected to any other worlds the same way that the Fae is. We decided that the Fae would be open communication with every other world out there, whereas, and also with our elemental planes. Our elemental planes are connected in the same way as well. The shadow plane we decided was going to be its own faction that is our world solo. I still like that idea. I would like to stay with that idea because I like the concept of having one plane that is solely created based on the effects of Unity, on what happened within Unity caused a rift, if you will, in this moon.
Which even tracks with even the way a lot of shadow planes tend to exist in a lot of even gaming mythologies, right? It is the negative inverse of the planet it is surrounding. Yeah. So this would be the mirror world, the this, the that, the anything in that capacity.
The negative energy. So going back to the head deity, do we want to have it so that it resides on the moon or in the actual plane itself? I think it should reside within the plane.
I think it should reside within the plane. The Draco Lich should live in the plane.
I agree with that. I think it should as well.
Because he created this plane as his own essentially his own demi-plane that became its own actual full-scale plane when enough other creatures decided not to want to die.
Now, here's a fun play on it. Would we like to pin it as a possible prison that he's stuck in? He can't leave. So therefore, he pulls in dead things in order to corrupt them, and then sends them back out to maybe find a way to free them. Like, think Tiamat in that kind of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his whole goal is to go back to unity and rain chaos and fuckery and maybe get revenge over whatever dragon killed him in the first place.
Yeah. So let's...
Because that would, in essence, form the first cult of the world.
Yes. So I like the concept,
but
I like the thought.
So
we don't have enough. Yes, we don't have the other gods.
We don't.
We don't have a lot of other deities yet. We have a couple.
Well, there's nothing saying that it was a deity that killed it. It was just another dragon.
I'm saying stuck him in.
No, he stuck himself there. So
he stuck himself in the prison?
Yes. So essentially, he had such negative energy that he didn't want to die, and by not actually dying and going to the Grey Waste, he refused death and essentially manifested his own plane to reside in. If he leaves that plane, he gets pulled into the Grey Waste because he is technically dead. So therefore, he has manifested his own prison in order to escape death.
Okay.
So
he
if we
really himself.
Yes, so if we really want to have fun with this, we can even go so far as saying this moon is him. The plane, the shadow, is the moon.
Yeah. And that technically only 5 of them are dragon eggs.
Yeah, 5 of them are dragon eggs, and the 6th one is just a false dragon egg, which is why it's inhabitable. It's not habitable because it is dead.
Yeah. Even if when it does get magic, it wouldn't be able to because it's
dead.
Yeah. No, I don't hate it.
So
I like it.
We could even one up that, and instead of it being dragon killed another dragon, it was the dragon egg that was formed. It's like the first dragon egg that was pumped out from the astral and the sun, but it didn't contain life. It died. And then the second one that came out was the Fae, which caused life, caused creation.
Yes.
And in anger and frustration, it manifested and turned into this shadow plane.
I like it. So he trapped himself. Okay. I'm trying to figure out how the cult would, like, the campaign the players could be on to that.
So this is where the Festival of Skulls comes into play.
Yes.
He's sending down minions down to Unity.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, and now you have a following who worships the dead falling from the sky. They learn from things falling from the sky about this entity that lives in the moon. On the moon is the moon. They start to worship that, and they start to, like, the cult doesn't have to know all the facts. They could just know that there's a god up there that is almighty and all powerful, and it's been trapped. Like, lies could be fed to the cult, telling them that.
That's what I was trying to figure out. But the other part is if he is undead and he is refusing death, you are correct. He would end up going to the Grey Wastes.
Yeah.
Unless he found a loophole or a workaround, which could be the one thing the cult is, aside from anything else, his primary directive is there's a something he's looking for
To bring him back.
that would work, or a couple of somethings that would work.
I would probably go as far as saying it's a couple of somethings, like a key.
Of course.
If I had to guess, because we have the Fae, and the Fae is pretty much the polar opposite of the Shadow Plane, based on how my brain's functioning right now, it would be something that the Fae gave to Unity to start creation. Because that we did canonize that the Fae was what started creation on Unity. So say there's maybe like 3 trees of growth or of life, or 3 like celestial eggs that reside within the planet that, you know, they gave the planet magic, and if collected and brought to an area could cause life to regrow and reform. 3 relics of some kind. Like, we don't have to like hash out what the items are now, but just
the tree of life, the water of the Fae, or the tree of life bottled. They have to have. Okay, I've got it. I've got it. I've got a couple at least. So even if we just do a couple that we know, DMs can do the rest. But
I would
on
like
the same vein of
for
thought process.
For something like this, I wouldn't go as far as saying like DM discretion. Like, this would be something that we would build into the world lore, because this is a big piece of lore. We would have to have this hashed out. So go ahead.
Something from Yggdrasil.
Okay.
So something that it is like an Yggdrasil like thing. So something tree of life.
So that'd be so an object from the Fae.
An object from the Fae.
Yeah.
Then waters
from the elemental
there's some
plane.
kind of. I was actually thinking more the waters of.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Here, I can pull it up here.
Yes.
It's from
Ialum?
It's from
Ialuum.
Ialuum, yeah.
The waters from Ialuum.
Okay.
From the source.
Yeah, from the starting source, not a
correct.
Non-polluted.
Correct. Entirely unpolluted, undiverted, straight from Terrelia's
main source.
Source.
The main. I believe we said it was from a waterfall that started there.
No, from the. I've said yes, we did. However, whatever the source is on Terrelia, if there's like a giant lake or whatever, something from there.
Sense.
So that gives a little bit of DM play, but it's one of those like we've created the thing, but you've got all the gods each have their own plane.
Yeah.
So you've got to pick and choose where it actually is. It's perfectly fine. But from a source is where the waters are from. So that's holy liquids fueling Yggdrasil.
So it's the source of water from Ialuum. We need a object. We haven't really figured out what it is. From the Fae. Creation of life. So what's your? So we have creation of life. We have creation of magic.
Yes. Technically, the manifestation of spirituality is what it would be, because
so
remember
that would be,
all the gods.
That's true. So that would be the essence of soul.
Yes.
Okay, so it's almost essences that we're looking for in order to power it. So the essence of life, the essence of the soul, creation, soul, and then would the last one be If anybody in chat has any ideas, a cog from order. Okay.
Or the central cog of order.
So here's my question to you. The object of the Fae, would that be from the Fae or from Unity?
It would be wherever it needed to be for the plot of whatever they were doing.
Well, no, because like this would be a massive campaign. So the idea is you would have to go to multiple locations. So
yeah, so let's put it in the Fae.
Put it in the Fae, or would you put it on the moon of the Fae? Like put it on.
We can control the moon. Let's do the moon. We can control the moon.
Yeah, we can control the moon.
So let's put it on the moon.
What was the name of the moon? Do you know off the top of your head?
We had it.
I don't want to scroll too far.
IR. ER. IYAR.
IYAR. Okay, the source of water from Aeolum. That's from Turelium. Turellum?
Mm-hmm. Turelia.
Turelia. I'm going to spell this wrong.
Torelia.
Torelia. Definitely would have spelled that wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one would be... So we have one from the Fae. We have one from essentially the heaven and hellscapes. So the last one, if we're doing three like a trinity, should be from Unity. It should be an object from Unity. So maybe like the first thing that caused like...
I was going to say it needs to be from the cosmology and all of this, because then you've got the inner planes, which are your elemental planes.
Yeah.
You've got your heavenscapes and hellscapes, your water that flows.
Yeah.
Then you've got your cosmology power. So the power of all three have to be unified on Unity.
Okay, so they'll have to be brought to Unity.
That's why he needs the cult on Unity to do this.
Okay, I like that. I like that.
Unity is called Unity for a reason, motherfucker.
And now we have a purpose for the name of the planet. So
welcome to Unity, bitches.
The last cosmical item would be almost like a dragon egg, like a celestial dragon egg.
I'm thinking that's why I was thinking the gear from the gear from the plane of order.
I'm thinking something for...
Because we need something from the tower.
We do, but we also need something that it can manifest into.
The planet, Unity itself.
Oh, it's... Ooh, so it's gonna take over the gravimetric dragon. Fuck me.
Remember, when you're unconscious, you fail saving throws, bruh.
Yeah, bitch is asleep.
For a long time.
That's
dirty.
That's evil. Okay.
So next up after this, we are writing this campaign instead of doing anything else.
Yeah, we're jumping right into a campaign creation.
Oh, fuck.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I do. I do.
Let's do that. So the third object has to be, you're right, it has to be something from the tower. A cog does make sense. Does it?
It's that or... No. What's the only thing that can't die? It could never be forced to go to the Grey Wastes.
The barkeep.
He needs a celestial heart. And those are the only place with accessible ones that's not the gods that's already there.
Because you can take it from any of the celestial automatons.
That are the superpowered automatons, not the general guards.
Not the general guards, yeah, but like the barkeep, the librarian, like our the monitor. So that's two right out of the gate.
There's two right out of the gate,
and we know there's going to be more. Like, we know that there's going to be more floating around. They may not be in the tower, but they will exist within either Unity or some of the Heavenscapes, Hellscapes, Demi-planes,
There's
whatever.
a number of places the cult could go, but the easiest one for them to get access to would be the tower.
The easiest?
Not the easiest for them to get.
It's the most commonly
get to,
yes.
The ones
and
that they
the
know
most
of.
commonly known of, yes. Ooh, that's dark. I like it. So Celestial Heart.
We're evil sons of bitches.
I know. I like it.
Welcome to the table, guys.
And if any of my players are listening, or any of Eric's players are listening, get ready for a fucking campaign, my friends. In like 2 years.
Right.
It won't be anytime soon.
Jesus.
All right, I like that.
This is dirty. I love it. I love this.
Cult of the Shadow.
We will rename it to whatever the the name of that dragon, that Draco Lich becomes.
I still like the idea of it being nicknamed like Cult of the Shadow strictly for the basis that it is based off of the Shadow Plane, but it will have an added rendition once it becomes more commonly known as to what this Draco Lich's name is and what his,
we'll build this out as we build more, but
yeah, exactly. Like a lot of these areas we will have to go back into and flush out once we get a little bit more into it, especially once we start diving into actually Unity itself and start building cities and deities on that level, the more Terran based level. But yeah, I'm excited.
Terrestrial. That's the word you were looking for.
Terrestrial, thank you.
I was like, hang on, it's close, but it's not quite.
I was watching Titan AE the other night with my wife, and that's just stuck in my head because, I've always wanted to run a campaign like that too. So much fun, the idea of it.
You just wrote one. Triple MacGuffins, baby! Dude, we could write a full level 1 to 30 campaign on that shit.
Oh, I think we can go past level 30 if we go the way that we're going. Celestial Gods, Celestial Hearts, that's level 50 shit. Because eventually you're going to be fighting celestial beings that are god tier, with god tier weapons, god tier armor.
I put down a god.
That too, right? Like, ooh, getting heebie-jeebies.
With layer actions?
Layer actions, legendary resistances.
Here's the thing about the barkeep that I really think the barkeep would have. He has a layer action and a legendary action that's called Banish. Works like the spell, but not entirely. It's different because
I don't think it would be
sends
called
you
Banish.
back to your plane, material plane.
The spell's called Shoe.
Yeah, right. The action's called shoot or get out of here.
Get out of here.
And the bartender uses it, and he just points at you,
and you're gone.
And you go back to
wherever you came
your
from.
plane of origin. Biological plane of origin.
Would it be your plane of origin or your plane of, like, the last plane that you traveled to before coming here?
He would send you right back where you belong.
Turns out you actually belong in the abyss.
Because then you can't just plane shift back there.
True.
You could gate, but that's a 9th level spell that you could really use to get back there.
That's a big spell. That's a big spell.
Not that you can use magic in the thing in the first place, but still.
True. All right, so we have the idea of the cult following for this Draco Lich. We have the idea on. Well, okay, so let's write out actually.
Cult of the Skull. It's the Cult of the Skull. They believe in the Festival of Skulls.
Oh,
it's the Cult of Skulls.
Yeah.
The Cult of the Skulls. Boom.
Again, the story in the world writes itself.
Fucking A, man.
It's so nice.
Sure.
It's like so nice when little things that you just kind of like sprinkle in there all of a sudden start like interconnecting with each other all over the place. You're like, this makes sense for this and this and this and this. And yeah.
Sure fucking does, dude.
So, let's rewind it a little bit back over to Shadow Dragon. And the idea of how he was made, because we don't have any of that really written down. So I think it would be a very big thing to get into writing so that we don't forget it.
Okay. If
Pardon me.
to do that, we have to figure out how all dragons, non-celestial dragons, were
created,
made and or evolved.
So I do believe, and I'm sorry, my viewers, but I have to travel here for a second up to Astral. Nope. Because I think we did touch on that somewhere. Three-year habitable, blah, 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 6 moons. Female dragon. I thought we might have just verbally discussed it.
We may have just verbally hypothesized for a moment.
Yeah. I think we must have just verbalized it and not actually wrote any of that down, which is a bother because I know we had a really good idea on how they were initially created, and it was through the concept of like when the first eggs from the celestial dragons in the sun started banging, essentially, they pumped out the moons. And that was their first creation of the actual dragon origin. And then from there, I almost feel like magic manifested itself from their creation. And boom, dragons? No?
I don't remember.
No.
Not entirely. I don't entirely remember. But my thought right offhand is I do agree dragons should be one of, if not the oldest.
I would say they're the oldest
race.
based on how we've manifested the world.
The only thing I think would be older and or at the same age would be elemental spirits.
Elemental spirits or elemental cores?
Elementals in general. Just elementals in general, because someone had, when they created the thing, they actually might be older than the dragons technically, but the dragons remember because they're alive still.
Okay, so here's my question for you. The way that I think of dragon lore and the way that I've kind of used it in the past and the way that I've read of it in books is that all dragons come from a main source. There's one dragon that essentially just started manifesting dragons of its own. Like, it divided its core and soul and started making dragons that way. So it became a head dragon deity. In that concept, once there were enough dragons of its own, instead of breaking down soul, breaking down material, breaking down its core itself, they started to breed. Depending on the location of where these dragons were breeding, they started to manifest and start to pull the surrounding area into their beings. So that's how you got stone dragons, fire dragons, earth dragons, that kind of concept. We could utilize that same idea in such a way because of the fact that you have a dragon as the core planet. You have two dragons causing magic manifestation.
Yes.
When you have the two kind of collide with each other, that would cause a creation. I've said something that triggered you. I like it.
There are six archaic dragons.
Okay.
I'm saying it this way with some level of intent because I like where your brain is.
I'm glad someone does.
When they did it, it also makes it so that elementals and dragons don't know who's actually older.
Well, exactly. That's exactly what I was getting at. Is that because you have these two or these three ancient, like older than time,
ties into how the order in which the different planes gained access to Unity.
That's true.
So the first dragon was an air dragon.
Because air was the first thing that touched Unity.
And as soon as he was born, the only thing he needed to survive was air. So it allowed the first gate to be created.
Why?
Magic.
Yes.
No, like when he was born, it was a large. So I'm seeing as the celestial and the two celestial solar dragon, the solar dragon and the astral, when they were banging, they pumped out the 6 moons. As they pumped out moons, it caused like a tidal wave
of magic, essentially. Oh well,
of magic.
Yeah.
To just swarm over the planet and the whole surrounding sphere. So it kind of did this number of the accretion disk. So just like you would see on a tidal wave coming towards shore. So as it crashed, it created the air dragon and the moon associated and opened the gate associated. It allowed that tap because the planet location was chosen on a thin spot.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Because then that explains how the other ones worked as well. Mm-hmm. And then once you had enough, going back to the idea that I had, once there's enough of the dragons, of the core elemental dragons, they would just start to crossbreed with each other and start making other forms of dragons.
Correct. So there's only one straight up pure elemental fire dragon.
Well, there would be one pure elemental dragon of the 4.
So the way I'm saying is, every time a new moon was created, it is when it allowed the new new gate to form.
The new gate to form.
And a dragon of like kind to that plane
was created.
Was created. So the first one was air.
Yeah.
Then fire. Then earth. Then, ironically enough, the Fae.
Yeah.
And then it was
water.
Water was 5th, and the last one was the dead moon. And it was the dragon that no one's ever seen because he exists where there is no light.
That would explain as well why the 6th dragon, when the 6th egg was formed, was made, why it was so frustrated and refused death. Mm-hmm. Why does everything else get to live but me?
Well, even this dragon wouldn't have been killed. This is the shadow dragon. This is the dragon of shadows. This is not the same as that other dragon I was talking about for the shadow plane.
Oh.
Because there was no shadow plane to merge with.
I gotta stop clicking that.
There was none to merge into, so he had nothing to pull. He just exists in the shadows. No one's ever seen him. They've heard of him. It is not this same dragon.
It's not.
It's not the Draco Lich.
Ooh,
it's one of his kids.
It's one of his kids, yeah. Who probably took his father's name.
He could absolutely take his father's name
Because
now.
if he took his father's name and started implementing himself as the Shadow Dragon, that would even harder explain and more in-depth explain why the cult is willing to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
They're
oh,
thinking
no,
they're following one of the archaic ones.
Yeah. They think
following
they're
the
following an
ancient
ancient
dragon.
They're following a legendary dragon. Not even ancient,
Mm-hmm.
legendary. Legendary higher than ancient? Yes. Cosmo Dragon?
That's why I said archaic, because they're legendary ancients. Like, these things are, because they are also probably worshipped, they would also be deity level, like, think Tiamat.
Yeah, well, these guys would even be older than Tiamat, realistically. Well, no, because these guys are coming from possibly the same world as Tiamat, and we did make mention that Tiamat could be in our world.
Tiamat is when the five of them had an orgy. Let's be real.
Why?
I mean, honestly, Tiamat is another generation below this. In the way I'm seeing it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Tiamat's not one of the six.
No.
Tiamat is a child of a child of a child.
Yeah.
They just got elevated up to godhood because
Oh, she started jumping planes. She jumped
started
planes.
gaining enough power and gained worshippers.
She gated planes, probably through the Fae, traveled over to, Thorol, and then started fucking shit up over there.
Even fucking better. She's not from here. She's from Ebir Torel. Found her way here. They all assume because she is a five-headed dragon, she predates the others.
Yeah.
They assume she predates.
They assume.
Truth or not, there's some assumption.
She may or may not. Yeah, it's true. That would be to GM discretion.
That would be to GM discretion. But Tiamat exists. How you would interact with Tiamat in this plane and within Unity is entirely up to you. Also, we've been on a bit of a tangent. Hey, Colleen, that is actually one of my players in chat right now.
I haven't even looked at chat. I'm so sorry.
That's why I said we've been on a tangent. We've been on a roll for a minute. I just wanted to make sure that they got greeted. So
normally I'm so good with that, but we just got on such a roll. I just got hyper focused.
Oh, dude, though,
Dirty.
that was a roll.
All right, so now we know the next thing that we have to do now.
What?
We gotta write it all
Name
down.
them?
No, we gotta write it all down.
Yeah, we gotta write it down.
Right now it's floating up in our noggins, and we got good memory, but we don't have a
Throw that
memory.
under material plane.
Material plane? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, but I like that thought that the moons, the most ancient of ancient dragon, and
excuse me.
The gateways to the various planes opened and happened all basically simultaneously upon a major magic surge that basically pierced the veil.
Yeah, realistically, yeah.
So the way I see it is essentially that like a giant clear wave of magic came through first, created air.
Okay, so
and a big fucking solar flare essentially happened, like a red one, just whoosh, and so on and so forth.
So let's figure out proper wording for this. So when the moons were created, they formed the first, essentially, magic surge towards the gates.
Yes, the gates. When the moons were created, the gates and moons of the same. I'm gonna put of the same element. Were created simultaneously. In addition, oh, you put it under astral, but that's fine. The
Oh, shit, I did. I will copy paste when we're done.
The first.
It is very, very close to the convergence from the Witcher TV show. The whole concept on how they did that didn't even make that connection until you pointed that out. That's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
But this is with dragons,
right? but now with extra dragons, because we are
Extra
Dungeons
dragons.
and Dragons.
That's right.
And your dragons.
Not enough people use dragons in their campaigns.
They really don't.
Like, it's called Dungeons and
first-
Dragons. Come on.
Ancient Legacy Elemental.
First Big Daddy Dragons. Big Mommy Dragons? Big Mommy Daddy Dragons. I'll shut up now. In addition to the first Legacy Elemental Dragons of Unity.
Of Unity were born.
Manifesting the element of the gate created at their birth.
Manifesting the element necessary for their elements necessary to sustain.
I wouldn't even say necessary, because once you get down to fire, you no longer, like, it's not fire that's necessary because you have all the other planes. It's whatever that magic surge that's opening that gate is what's manifesting. It's not the necessity of needing that to survive. It's just that is the magic that is being pumped through.
Manifesting the elements to Unity itself.
I think that makes sense.
Onto Unity itself. There we go.
Yeah. Oof. That was a mouthful.
It's because it's got to be carefully worded for clarity.
Yes.
Hit tab. You forgot to hit tab once, but that's fine.
I will one day figure out how to use it. One day. Probably not.
About 4 years from now.
When we're done.
Right? So, I like that.
No, that's a good creation.
So, the gateways to the plane, the moons for the plane, which now means that all the other moons already have an identity of some kind.
They would, yeah.
Which is fine, because the fire one, being one that's orbit goes in and out of the magic sphere, it basically would, it's the same as temperature for fire, right?
Yeah.
For this, so it would be nothing but active volcanoes and magma. And then when it was out of the magical disc, it was just all cool.
Now here's a fun play on it. Since these moons are giving the magical essence of creation to these first origin dragons, if you want to go that way.
Mm-hmm.
If one of these origin dragons dies, would another one be able to be born? Or would they just be almost never dying, like almost like immortal? Would they... Here's a question.
And chat, you're welcome to answer this too if you have an idea.
By all means, please answer.
That's always welcome to help answer. Like,
so these dragons that exist, we have a Fey dragon, we have a Shadow dragon, we have fire, earth, water.
Yes.
Do we want them to be... No, because we've already kind of written out how the lords of those, or the demi deities of those
gods,
planes exist. Yeah. So we don't want to
They're not the gods of the plane.
No.
They might live on the moons.
They would,
but
probably...
even...
I would say they would even be able to travel between the moons.
Yeah. they just live where the fuck they want. So as a DM, they have full power to put them wherever the fuck they want them.
They would
except for Naoma.
Yes. I would say that they would probably reside around the gates themselves. Like they would almost feel like protectors of the gates.
That could be one of their many layers, absolutely.
Yeah.
But again, where they're found is I'm fine leaving that to the DM because I like the
open-endedness.
The open-ended, because it's like I don't care where they run into. They could be down the street. You could open your campaign like Pokemon does with Ho-Oh and just a fucking dragon flying across the goddamn sky to start your game.
I think it would be important to have their head layers probably where the gates are. Like that's where their main layers would reside, is where the gates opened. Mm-hmm. Whether they're there or
where they were born.
Yeah, whether they're there or not, they probably have like lots of layers all the fucking over the place. Now, we did make one mention earlier on, is dragons in our world are a semi-immortal. So they do not die of old age. Like they cannot die of natural causes, but they can be killed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does for me. Does it make sense over there for chat?
Well, I know that some people in our chat haven't been here for every episode, so
correct.
When I made the mention of immortal for this other dragon, my mind was going towards immortal in the sense of cannot be killed, period. Mm-hmm. Whereas we already know that immortal to us is cannot die naturally, can still be killed.
So let's make it so that they are power-wise on the same as a god. You have to have a god-powered item.
God tier weapon?
To kill them? Not to do damage, but to truly kill. Otherwise, their respawn point is back at their lair, back at their nest.
Back at the gates.
Back at the gates.
So if you kill them, they just respawn back at the gates. I like it. So that's perfect. Let's pen that in.
You get your cake and you get to eat it too. They're technically immortal. You can keep them from game to game, campaign to campaign.
Yeah. Unless one gets taken out with a celestial weapon, a god tier weapon.
Yes. It has to contain the heart of a god, which means a god has to fucking make it. You got to go whore yourself out on the red light district to Marastus.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, so let's pen that in. Where are we? I lost myself there. Yeah. So what terminology do we want to use for these dragons? Do we want to go with ancient legacy elemental, or do we want to go with origin? Like, I like the idea of origin because they are the original. They are the starter Pokemon of the world.
Yeah, let's go with origin. Unless someone else has a better idea, but right now I think origin.
Origin dragons.
I think origin works for the best for right now. Capitalize the O.
No, you didn't say please.
Please. I had to drink the last of my Mountain Dew. Sorry, it's important. It's vital.
Mine's all empty already too. Listen.
I drink 1 liter bottles of Mountain Dew.
If I drank a 1 liter bottle of Mountain Dew, I'd be going for a pee already. I got the bladder of a 2-year-old.
There are worse bladders.
I mean, that's true. So the origin dragons cannot be completely. How would you word that? The origin dragons, if killed
by a god tier.
So the origin dragons, if killed, will respawn in their layers, aka their gates of origin, unless in their nest.
I think nest is the right term there because they have layers and then they have their nest. The difference being the nest is their home base,
Yeah.
and their layers are just, I'm tired, I'm going to take a nap.
I feel like
For
sleeping here.
100 years.
So the other dragons that killed respawn in their nests, aka the gates, unless a celestial weapon is used for the final blow, in which case they will be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Can't think of a better way of wording that.
That is a very effective way for us as Eric and Chris to have it straight in our heads.
Even for GMs who want to, like, if they ever get their hands on this stuff and want to play something like this, it's a great way of having that powerhouse structure and being able to not make it invincible, because it's not like, you know, you can't get rid of it for a period of time. Now, what would we say would be the respawn period? I would go almost at, like, it would have to be years, I would say.
Oh, yeah, easily.
5 minutes.
I would. They're reborn. They're not. They have to start over from wormling.
Oh, okay, so not respawn, reborn.
Reborn. So they're not respawned at ancient. So they may not be the same age that they were when they first, as if they had never died.
But they would keep their memory.
They would keep their whole memory, but they would just start life back over. They would have that genetic memory.
What did you just call it?
Genetic memory. It's common. It's a common theme in sci-fi where some species have a genetic memory that they pass down from child to child. Aboleths actually have it too. In D&D.
Yeah, aboleths, and I believe some mind flayers. Because if they're part of the hive. If they're part of the hive, then they would keep it.
It's not the same as genetic. Genetic memory it's always from the parent.
Oh, like the point of origin.
So, like the elder brain would have any of the elder brain's memories. It would have not the hive, but the elder brain.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and Colleen, that's exactly right. Energy is recycled, and that's what we're doing. It's being reborn. They're being reborn. They're not being respawned.
Now, can you imagine if they're reborn? They start as an egg, and then there's an adventuring party that just so happens to walk into their nest and finds it. It's like, oh, look at the peppy egg, and then takes it away.
If these things are dead, the gate closes permanently
until they like dead.
Yeah. If you take a celestial dagger and you stab these guys to death,
you close the gate. Well, you close the main gate.
No, you close the access for the plane.
Well, no, because remember, we also said that the original elemental lord for those elemental planes have control of the gates and where they open and close. So there's a two-way magical source.
Yes, but what I'm saying is you're cutting one side entirely off.
You would, so I wouldn't say that would completely cut off all access. I would say it definitely makes it fucking unstable.
Yeah, the lords lose their power to move the gate. They can't move it again like they have been forever.
So therefore the gate would no longer be movable, it would be permanent.
Yes.
So therefore it would be
the way I'm thinking right this second. Yes, that's where my brain is in my head.
Okay. I'm not against that. I like that idea because as we have it now in the elemental plane, especially for the main four, fire, earth, water, and air, they moved their well, no, because what did we say?
They moved their gate at whim.
Was it at whim?
More or less.
No, it's not the main gate that they move. They move their... Why did we not write that down? What's wrong with us?
That is weird.
Yeah, we didn't write it down. Yeah, we gotta get better with this.
Yeah. But
so when air...
some of them are moving. So air says it's always moving, which means...
Yeah, air has it as main gates. Pardon me. Main gates are always changing location respect to each based on air currents. And then earth, main gate sits within the oldest mountain chain.
So it's always... They're moving, but they're moving at different speeds.
Yeah. Water, Main gate was originally sitting upon a mountain that he allowed water to flow and then became an island. All water came from this gate and filled the material plane.
I don't know why it's a he, but that allowed water to flow.
Yeah. Because we haven't even tend to the elemental people are.
No. All water came from this gate and filled the material plane.
And then fire, main gate, is in the upper mantle and is partly responsible for tectonic movements.
Mm-hmm. So it's responsible for all volcanology and seismology and...
Yeah. Okay. So I know at one point in time we had the discussions about how there were the main gates that are, I guess, semi-stationary. And then there were the ley line gates that opened periodically.
Yes. It would shut those down immediately.
I feel like it would definitely shut down the ley line gates. The main gates, I don't think it would shut down because they are semi-controlled from the other side.
Yeah. But I do agree it would no longer be two-way.
No, it would definitely be one way. Until another dragon takes the position of an origin dragon.
Which would have to be an allowed thing, but who would allow it? The only people I can see who would be powerful enough to allow it would be the celestial dragons who essentially made them.
I think in order for it to happen, it would have to be a dragon of its breed. So say a water dragon, okay? A water dragon gets, like, the origin water dragon dies. In order for a new water origin dragon to be created, manifested, you know, born, a water dragon would have to essentially fly to its respective moon to gain the power. So there would almost be like an altar or some form of the thing up on those moons that if it went up there, it could collect the essence of the origin dragon to become a new origin dragon. So it almost become like a race, like who could get there first to gain that power.
Yeah, and that could take hundreds of years to thousands to tomorrow.
Exactly, right? But every dragon of its kind would immediately know that its origin has died.
Yes. Main gate becomes unstable. Well, because their powers have become unstable. Because their power, they draw their power from the elemental plane
plane. Yeah.
Fuels them.
Exactly.
With minor exceptions, like maybe a volcano dragon actually pulls it from the volcano.
Yeah, like you would have your lesser dragons. Like that's where, when we start breaking down the dragons, like you would have your origin dragon, which would give you your elemental dragons. Those would be your most powerful. And then you would have lesser dragons, which pull their power from unity. And then you have your shadow dragon, which is just a jerk off, and he's literally fucking around behind the scenes.
Literally behind them. You can't see him because he's behind you.
Yeah.
All the time. He's in your shadow.
Yeah. I picture him being this big. With lots of power.
Like, his size would be unimaginable. It's the size of the largest shadow. He is the size of the largest shadow in the room in which he's encountered.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's scary.
Roll for initiative. There's nothing in the room.
I didn't tell you there was anything in the room. I said roll for initiative.
You enter a dark cavern. There's There's nothing here, but it's eerily quiet.
And you get a shiver.
I have
up
dark
your
vision.
spine.
What do I see?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothingness. Just nothing.
Nothing.
Roll a perception check for me. It's a nat 20. Okay, you see some slight movement, but you cannot tell. It's your shades of gray. You're seeing black on lesser black, and you just see it fluctuating. That's what you see on your nat 20.
You just see a small glimmer.
Oh.
So good.
Oh.
So good.
Oh, this is fun.
I know.
By the way, for those of you who are my players, I'm going to say right now, Somebody's Heroes takes place on one of the continents of Unity. Welcome to hell.
Well, this is news to me, and that made me very excited to start fucking with everything. Your players are going to learn to hate me.
I mean, you are part of the world crew of and the planning committee for the show. So,
which now that I have a little bit more free time, I will be diving into to aid in the debauchery. Yes,
and I'll talk to you afterwards about how to do that. But a race of their immediate kids begins. So only the immediate children,
only the ones
who
that
are
have
splintered
from the origin
from them.
You know nothing.
A race of their immediate big kids begins to trigger.
So I would just say it begins
to
gain the power.
Begins to trigger them to return. That's what I was getting at. To triggers something in them to return them to the
it's almost like a natural instinct.
Respective celestial object. Correct.
Yeah. Celestial moon.
I was saying celestial object, but it's respective moon.
Yeah, it's easier to say moon for now until we kind of figure out what it is on the moon that they're going towards.
Correct.
Which I will make a note up at the very top for things to work on. Celestial moon dragons items question mark.
Okay, so so when they're dead, because we have to remember everything can die.
Everything has a way of being killed. Nothing is truly and utterly immortal. A call from their source. That is a great way of wording that as well.
We just have to figure out on the moon what the object of their source is. Like,
well, we know
is it the core of the moon, or
well, that's just it. We
what?
know it's the moon itself, because the moon itself we know are dragons. They are unborn dragons. He's having a brain fart. What is it?
I got a better idea. When they're permanently killed, the first dragon that gets there merges with the moon and spawns another one.
Why merges with the moon?
Because it's that or it hatches.
Oh. Well, see, that I don't like the idea of it merging with the moon. I like the idea of it going to the moon and it pulls the source out of the moon to stop it from hatching. That's its whole purpose, is to get there, remove this energy
to stabilize the moon.
Precisely. So not merging with it, but pulls the essence from it.
So pulls the chaotic particles out, so to speak. Because essentially chaos particles...
It's the elemental particles.
Okay. I like that.
So we have a water moon. That's going to be a moon made out of water. We're going to have a fire moon that's made out of fire. We're going to have an earth moon that's made out of gemstones. And we're going to have an air moon that's made out of farts.
Did you mean out of fart?
I don't know.
I thought that's what I heard, but I wanted to verify that you said what I thought you said.
How closely you were listening. No, it would be made out of gas, essentially, almost like a nebula gas.
Yeah. The chaotic elemental particles.
Yeah.
To stabilize the moon.
Thank you, chat, by the way, for
If
all
they
the
do not
advice and wordings. We appreciate
reach it in time,
It
the moon
hatches,
hatches.
and the world ends.
Pausing. I'm going to capitalize this.
Cataclysm.
Change.
I would have gone with cataclysmic world events.
That's an acronym. Change is an acronym.
Oh.
I don't know what it means yet, but we'll figure that part out.
Cataclysmic hazardous actions, not good
Events.
Okay. Oh, so our chat has made the comment about could even be a race to be the guardian of the new spawn.
So essentially, that's kind of what we're saying is they're the guardian of the moon, the life link of the moon is the origin dragon that was born at the same time the moon was. Essentially, they are twins. They're twin spirits.
It's like the essence. It's the final heartbeat that the moon doesn't have yet. Because going back to the creation of the moons, so we have two dragons that are banging in the sun. They pumped out moon eggs. These eggs are celestial dragons that just haven't hatched yet. So the way that we've now kind of played on that is that when they hatched, they made little baby dragons down on the planet. So it's almost like a small part of the moon dragons was removed from them and sent down to Unity. When it dies, it comes back to them, almost giving the moon its final ba-dump in order to hatch. Yes?
That sounds kind of sort of effectively what we were talking about. Yeah. But these are basically a set of twins that one's alive, one is unborn, and without one, the other one hatches immediately because it gains its full power to be capable of hatching.
Not
because
immediately.
These moons, when they hatch, not immediately, but after a hatching time frame.
D10
it triggers
years.
the hatching mechanisms.
Yeah.
And it's at the speed of plot for the DM.
I mean, we could give a suggestion.
We can give suggestions, absolutely.
Like I would say a suggestion.
Ultimately, I think the DM should...
Yeah. Have final discretion.
Because... Yeah, they always have final discretion. But, the way the core world would work is we would give the recommendations of 10th level, 50... Not level.
Yeah, it depends on the level of
10
the
years, 5 years, 20, whatever.
Yeah.
You have enough time that shit could happen or whatever. Or we'll tell them leave it to a die roll.
D100.
I was going to go with a D20.
Ooh, you're nice.
And then you roll a D4 or D6 of the bottom one being days, and then working your way up to months, years, centuries.
Yeah, I guess
months, years, decades, centuries, and it could just take a long ass time. And 3 generations go, and no one's claimed no dragon has claimed the moon.
Here comes baby. Now we're getting down to
and
the
it would
last.
Totally change shit.
Oh, it would. That would be a cataclysmic event where there would be definitely planetary changes. And astral changes too.
Changes.
So we're coming down to about the last 15, 12 minutes of our show, which is usually where we go for our end question. And we had one that we left off on last week that I definitely wanted to hit back on, and it is hidden roles or shown roles. How do you DM as a game master?
Yep. So I do them appropriately. So I personally, as the DM, when I'm DMing live, I don't hide anything. When I'm in person with you at the table, I've never had a DM screen. I don't have DM screens. I don't hide shit. I roll right there in the middle with everyone else.
Okay.
Hell, I have been known to stand up, walk around the table, and just roll in front of people because, like, I'll just be over your shoulder, just person. Uh-huh. I mean, you guys have seen me on stream already. Like, I don't stand still. I ain't got that dog in me. But I'm
on the other side of the spectrum.
As far as online, I do not do. I don't typically. If I use a VTT, I don't hide anything.
Okay.
Because it's the same concept as being at the table. But when I'm actually just like rolling my real dice, my camera, I don't show them. I just tell them what it was, then I add it up and I say bada bing, it's a 29. Is a 29 hit?
No.
Yeah, 29 hits your fucking ass.
Nah. Not me.
I mean, you're DM.
See, now I'm a little bit on the other side of the spectrum. I do hide my roles, but not all the time. I like to hide my roles because it gives my players a sense of urgency. Especially when I have a table, like I have a very chaotic table on both sides of my games for both my in-person games and my actual VTT online games. In order to sometimes get them to settle down and pay attention, I will start just rolling behind the table. Sometimes I'm rolling for things, just for future events like NPCs or initiative trackers or things like that, just to have extra stuff pre-done. Other times I'm just rolling dice to fuck with them.
Those I don't hide. Those I do hide. Those are the only dice rolls I hide, and that's because they don't mean anything. I'm saying the ones that I'm talking about, the ones that mean anything.
I agree.
I don't hide. I don't hide those.
Even when I'm doing, say, for example, if you're having an NPC interaction and it's an insight roll, I will hide the insight roll. Because my players shouldn't know whether they passed or succeeded on the insight roll. How I interact,
I let them know.
I don't let them know. I keep it from them because they have to find out through interactions with the NPC as to what they think. The way that I react to them as the NPC, they should be able to gauge whether or not. If it is an extreme information knowledge, like it is very campaign heavy and it needs to be information whether they need to know it's correct or wrong, yes, I will tell them. But if it's something silly, like they're asking a little child whether they've been pickpocketed or not, and the child goes, no, and they roll for insight, I roll for insight, I compare my numbers to them, and they look at me and go, did they lie to me? I will give them a reaction based on the NPC.
The NPC runs the fuck away.
The NPC smiles and goes, bye-bye, and fucks off. They search their pocket and go, oh, motherfucker, and they chase the NPC. That to me,
and I might start doing that.
That to me gives the players more drive to focus on a narrative purpose. It gives my players more of a reason to interact instead of focusing on the dice rolls. The dice rolls mean a lot, but the way that the RP happens also affects the gameplay. And that makes them more immersive in the game. instead of focusing,
Yep.
oh, my dice says this. Okay, but what do you say? As a player, how do you respond to this based on how I'm responding to you based on the dice rolls?
Now, because both of us have played in person for funds as well as for remotes for funds and remotes for, we've played all the variations.
Yes.
Remote for fun, remote for podcast, in person for podcast, in person for
we have played all spectrums of the game.
we've played all four. We've played all of them. As a podcast factor, do you let people know, like, it's with the exclusive spellcasters who can use shield or whatever to change it? Do you let people know ACs to abbreviate combat?
I do not.
So I have done that recently, and my combats are a lot smoother because I'll be like, you're attacking John. Okay, he's got an AC 15.
See, I don't like to do that because players will then start to. It takes the edge out of it, in my opinion. So if the players know that only a AC of 18 will hit, they're less likely to use bigger, powerful spells. They're less likely to try and, oh shit, okay, so the 14 didn't, like, I know that a 14 will hit. I'm not so scared about getting into combat with him because I can mess him up. If you
I don't tell them until after they've already engaged the combat, and usually it's on like the second round after they've already made a round of hits. It's like,
see, that's a little bit different.
They've already tested it a little bit, and now I'm like, all right, I don't want this to be a 10 round combat.
So yes,
let's use our brain a little bit. You guys have tried attacking him.
In that sense, after a duration of time that I deem worthy, where you have literally been in face-to-face combat with this person, you know, you should know what type of damage it would take in order to hit this guy. Then
Correct.
Yes, I will start to tell my players, okay, you've now been fighting him for 2 rounds. You should know by now with these interactions his AT is 16. So that definitely speeds up a like combat, because then they can roll and look and be like, oh, okay, that didn't hit. They can tell me that it didn't hit.
Correct.
So yes,
they can
in
be
that
like,
sense, yes.
Because I also will have them roll all, if they've got 3 attacks and they're a fighter with 3 attacks. I'll be like, just roll all 3 attacks. AC 15. How many hit? Now,
for me, what I like to do is I usually will try to wait until they've made a successful hit.
That's not like a nat 20.
Well, yeah, like a nat 20. Okay, no, you came down and chopped this motherfucker in half. But if they've already been combat to the point where they've hit them, like I said, then yes, they should, within reason, especially if they're experienced fighters, right? Like if you're dealing with the level 12, level 10 party, they typically will know. But definitely not right out of the gate, because you want them to stress a little bit. I like stressing out my players. It's fun. It gives me some joy.
And I need to get better at doing that. I don't think I stress them out enough in combats specifically.
Even just like simple encounters too, right? Like simple encounters, there are definitely ways of adding stress onto players that isn't combat heavy.
Nope.
Even with like NPC interactions, like RP sessions. RP sessions can be very stressful if you hide those dice rolls.
I typically won't actually roll. I'll just have a DC in my head.
Well, yeah, I'll have DCs written down on paper so that when if I know that there's a piece of lore or piece of information that they're trying to get their hands on, then this DC I will have pre-written out.
Correct.
But occasionally, if one of my players is dicking me around a little bit, which they do from time to time, I will
player dick you around. Never. They're innocent. They are absolute innocent little doll babies.
They're such little precious little fuckers.
They're such little cute beans. Like,
We don't at all ever
they're
try
just
to kill
little
them.
guys.
Little
Never.
guys. Little guys.
They're just little guys.
I would like to put a plug in today because I just picked up a
Go
book
for it.
over the weekend, and it is, I highly recommend it to all of our players out there. It is the Game Master's Guides. These books are phenomenal. This one is Villains, Minions, and Their Tactics. I as well have, I believe, 2 of the other ones. They are floating around here somewhere. Oh, there's the other one. Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons is up behind me. And then I as well have a Random Encounters. Which one's that?
I got NPCs.
NPCs and characters.
I got the NPCs book.
So there's a new one that just came out from these guys from the Game Master's book, and it is Legendary Dragon Creation. So it's how to create legendary dragons.
I know what our next session is. We need that book. We need it. And we are just going to start building these 6. It's a good time to start building some fucking monsters.
It's in chapters.
We just came up with
for me, it's $46. For you, it's $32.
However, technically, because of exchange rate, it's the same equivalent exchange dollar.
It sure is.
Or so they want us to believe.
So they want us to believe. But yeah, if you are a new game master that is just getting into it, these books are...
They're fucking amazing.
They are amazing. They will help you out so much. They come, like the one that I have here beside me, Villains, Minions, and Their Tactics. This one actually comes with pre-written BBEGs, their goals, their ambitions, their backstories, and a small little one-shot with them. So if you're just looking to dip your toes in, this is a perfect way to do it. Unfortunately, these books cannot be found on D&D Beyond. They are only hard copy. You might be able to find them in a PDF file online, but you won't find them through D&D Beyond.
No. But you can find them at like Amazon, not just Amazon, but you can find them at like your actual like Barnes and Nobles, like bookstores too.
And for us Canadians, you can find them in Chapters, Indigo, that type of stuff.
But honestly, even the NPCs one has full-on backstories for some
it's great.
of their NPCs. Not all of them, but like a couple big ones that they made as big ones.
Yeah,
and they're pretty cool. I haven't used any yet, but
oh man, the Traps and Dungeons. I've dived into that book for some of my campaigns. It's great.
I believe it.
And if you ever want to do a little bit more experiencing of puzzles and traps and dungeons and that type of stuff, go check out Earthos Creations on Instagram. He actually runs a podcast called Dungeon Problems, and that's Dungeon Problems with an exclamation mark on Spotify and Amazon, whatever other podcasting forums are out there. And he essentially interviews game masters like us and questions them on their use of puzzles.
Cool.
And how they function in their games. And I gotta say, like, some of the game masters that he has on there, they really go into detail on puzzle creations, puzzle uses in games, and all the works. And then he has actual gameplays where he makes a one-shot purely puzzle-based. And he runs these guys through the gambit. I had the pleasure of doing his first Puzzles of Quandary, and
cool.
It was something, man. So definitely worth the check out.
Yeah.
I
want to get their whole collection, but it's just expensive. Each book
it's
is
so
just
expensive.
Pricey.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's like $40 for me.
But I will say they are going to be at Gen Con.
Are they?
Yes.
Oh, that'd be
they
dope.
are going to Gen Con. Yeah.
Probably pick them
it's
up.
Gonna be dope.
A little discounted, get a signature on it.
I'm not saying the books, but I'm saying the people. The people will be there. They've got seminars and stuff that they're running.
Oh, if they got seminars, they'll probably have books to sell.
They might. I'll have to double check the website, but otherwise, I think that's a great place for us to end for the night.
I think it's a great place.
That's a great note. And next time we will pick up continuing the lore of apparently something we did not know existed, and that is the Origin Dragons.
The Origin Dragons. Every time we start, there's always something new to play with.
And we did not focus on the Shadow Plane at all. We just started doing on the Origin Dragons.
We played with the Shadow Plane a little bit.
That's how we got the Origin Dragons.
Dived over. That's okay. But thank
It
you,
is.
everybody, for joining us. We appreciate every single one of you. Anybody who joined us in the chat, you guys are amazing. And anybody who listens to us after the fact, we appreciate you just as much. We hope
You're amazing too. We love you.
Oh, Eric, I love you as well. Oh, you weren't talking about
I
me.
was talking to people watching. I'm breaking the fourth wall. We love you, fourth wall.
So we will see you guys all next time, next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right, meow? We hope you have a fantastic night and an even more fantastic week.
Alrighty, you guys take care.